Welcome to Aging Well in America. I'm Marie Gattari. In the United States today, every day, 6,000 to 7,000 people turn 65. There are 5.5 million people over the age of 85. Within the next 30 years, that number will grow to 20 million. 20 million people will be 85 years or older. Are we ready? Is America ready? There is so much good work going on around the world and even right here in this community. And with us today is someone who works in that field, Rick Lemanski from Samasco Law Firm, who's going to talk to us about how to help people in that community. Welcome, Rick. Thank you so much for being with us
Thank you
this
for
morning.
having me, Anne-Marie.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're with a law firm that specializes in elder law issues. One of the biggest and most important things that you do is getting veterans to qualify for a host of benefits that many in the community don't know about. Give us an overview, please, of what those benefits are.
I do work for a law firm. I'm not an attorney. I specialize in veterans benefits for the firm, and I do public relations for the firm. The VA provides a wide variety, as you said, of benefits to veterans. We work on a benefit that is not well known. It's a lot of people don't know about it. Mm-hmm. It's been around since the 1950s, and it is called Pension with Aid and Attendance. Mm-hmm. The benefit is for a veteran who served during a wartime period. So we know we have a lot of aging World War II veterans right now. Korean War veterans are in the mix that are qualifying for the benefit. And now we're starting to see our first Vietnam War veterans that are moving in and becoming eligible for this benefit. And the benefit is typically for a veteran who is 65 years or older.
Okay.
If you are younger than 65, you can qualify for the benefit, but you must prove a medical need. So the benefit is for a veteran who is destitute or a veteran whose medical expenses are starting to exceed their income. And by medical expenses, I mean the cost of insurance that they may be paying for. Everyone who's on Social Security has a Medicare deduction that comes out, $99.90 out of everyone's Social Security.
That's one of the expenses?
That's the first expense.
Okay.
And the second expenses are other insurances, supplements that they may be paying for. And then the other costs are direct care costs. The cost to have someone come into your home to help you. The cost of an assisted living community if you choose to move to an assisted living community. And we look at the veteran's gross monthly income, and then we look at their medical expenses. And what we're trying to accomplish is to help the veteran get the maximum benefit from VA that VA will pay. And if their medical expenses are equal to or exceed their gross income by $1 or more, they can qualify for the maximum benefit. The benefit is broken down into a couple of different categories. It's for a veteran with a spouse. It's for a single veteran who may have lost their spouse, or the surviving spouse of a wartime veteran.
Now, you mentioned wartime. Why is it important that the vet have been serving during wartime?
The benefit is specifically for wartime veterans, was designed by the VA. VA provides two major pensions. One of them is called compensation. Compensation is money that you're paid by VA because you were injured during your service period. You didn't have to serve during wartime. You could have been injured in basic training, or it's kind of workman's comp for a veteran, a disability for a veteran. The benefit that we work on, this pension with aid and attendance, is just for wartime veterans. World War II veterans, Korean War veterans, and Vietnam War veterans. A lot of people don't know the dates. The qualifier is 90 days of active duty, 1 day during the wartime period, and you did not have to serve in a war zone. You could have served in the United States during Vietnam. You could have served in Germany.
I see.
So there are.
I see.
You did not have to be in that war zone. World War II is December 7th, 1941 to December 31st, 1946. The Korean War extends from 1950 to 55. Vietnam is 64 to 75. Vietnam will extend all the way back to 1961, but from 61 to 64, a veteran had to be in Vietnam.
I see.
We had military advisors in Vietnam at the time. Those people qualified.
I see. So your law firm has helped a lot of people, excuse me, qualify for this or make the application. That application process can be pretty daunting. And a lot of people, I would imagine, think right off the bat, well, I'm not going to qualify, my income is such. But you really have a philosophy, your firm has a philosophy that whoever is eligible should qualify and should make this application.
Yes, we found a number of veterans who have been told that they make too much money, and what they don't realize is that they can pay family members to help care for them. A scenario where a family member may come to me and say, my mom or dad, they make a couple $1,000s a month in Social Security and a small pension, and they have bills to pay around the house still, and VA is saying that they make too much money or that they don't qualify. And I ask that son or daughter, well, who's helping them around the house? Well, we can't afford to have care come in. I'm helping them. Well, did you ever think of yourself as a paid caregiver? That son or daughter can be a paid caregiver, help offset their income with in-home medical expenses, and help them qualify for the VA benefit.
How do they go about doing that exactly? Is it as simple as the adult child receiving a check, a personal check?
You need to have an agreement, just like any caregiver that comes into the house. You need to have an attendant affidavit signed that says, my name is Rick and my mom and dad are paying me to care for them at home.
Okay.
And then the veteran needs to start paying the son or daughter. You can be, if you qualify for the VA benefit, you could down the road be audited by VA.
Certainly.
VA could ask the veteran, you say you're paying your son, can you prove it? And you need to prove it with canceled checks or
Right.
receipts.
Right.
Typically canceled checks.
And again, then suddenly this expense becomes one more medical expense that helps you get to the income level that would
Yes.
help you to qualify.
We're looking for significant expenses that will offset income. Insurance cost might be a couple of $100s a month. We're looking for, especially with veterans who make significant income, we're looking for significant offset of that income with in-home care. In-home care can be expensive. It averages between $16 and $22 an hour. And when you start adding up the number of hours that people need at home, it's easy to start spending more money than you make.
It's almost like the chicken and the egg, right? Because people need the care, they can't afford it, but once they start getting the care, they may get the benefit to help them afford it. So
Exactly.
that's why you're suggesting start paying for care now, and then it will help you
Exactly.
qualify.
Then you can relieve the son or daughter. I mean, it's very stressful for family members to take care of loved ones. I mean, I've personally experienced it myself. It's a job, and it's a labor of love because mom and dad took care of you, but it is a job, and many people have family commitments. They have children of their own. They have jobs, and you say, I'd like to be there for my mom or dad, but I really need an outside agency that would also help. Give me a break.
Yes, yes. It puts an enormous amount of stress on families. I know you and I have spoken about each of our personal situations. This benefit again and everything that is available to veterans who have served in different wartime periods. Again, there is, you've seen it make a difference in some people's lives, I would imagine, over the years. Tell us a few stories like that.
You know, there's a couple of specific examples that come to mind. I had a family come to see me, mom and dad living on $1,050 a month. Dad did not pay into Social Security. Their combined Social Security was $1,050 a month. They were living in government subsidized housing, they were getting food stamps, and Dad had dementia. Very pleasant and happy, but he was in another place. And he had a type of dementia that's called sundowners, where he was awake all night. And Mom is very healthy, but Mom had to stay awake with him all night and was literally killing her. They came to us. We paid the daughter to start helping around the house. Mom and Dad qualified for $2,000 a month, which is the maximum benefit for a couple. So now their income goes to $3,050 a month, and now Mom can pay for someone to come and just sit with him at night while he's awake, and she can sleep. And you know, the funny thing about it is that she came back to see me a few months later and looked like a different person. She had color back in her face, and she was invigorated, and it was awesome to see. Another example that I can give you of someone who moved into assisted living, a gentleman was a bachelor all of his life, and he lived with his mother, and he cared for her and she cared for him. Well, Mom lived to be 100 years old, and when she passed away, he was alone and became very depressed, and to the point where his sister and brother-in-law had him hospitalized in a psych ward. And when he came out of his depression, he said, "I don't want to go back to that house. I just cannot go back there." He was alone. He had never been alone in his life because he lived with his mother, and he was alone and chose to move into an assisted living community. The expense of assisted living is a medical expense. VA considers it a medical expense. It offset his income. It helped him qualify as a single veteran for $1,700 a month, and he is just flourishing. He's a very popular resident, and he's outgoing, and his brother-in-law called me a few months ago and said that I saved his life. Well,
Wow.
I didn't save his life. He was smart enough to save his own life and had support, family support that helped him.
Right.
But it made a huge difference for those families.
Yeah, yeah. How long has Simasco been offering this service?
Simasco Law Office has been offering this service for getting close to 10 years now.
Okay.
We discovered it kind of because Mr. Simasco, who's the founding member of the law firm, had a stroke and was disabling, and family needed care, and they started investigating what was out there. And as a Korean War veteran, he qualified for the benefit. His son became a caregiver for him, and he was kind of our guinea pig. And we just lost him recently, but the money from VA really helped out with his care over the last years.
So it's clear that the families do not need to be destitute. It's a matter of knowing how and where to use your assets, to use them wisely,
Correct.
and getting that help, because as you said, it can really take a toll on families.
It can, and we see families who start off, oh, we're all going to pitch in and we're all going to help, and they come back all out of breath 3 months later and tired and looking for more or additional help.
Respite care, we like to call it.
Yes.
With my with my own personal situation, and I know you know it because you helped my dad get the benefits that really helped us care for him toward the end of his life. So this has made, these last 10 years have really put you out into the community. It's not just a matter of helping people fill out forms, which, by the way, is quite a process, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about that before we conclude. But as an elder care firm, you're out there, you're participating in health fairs and expositions and so forth. Talk about some of the things that you're doing, why, and if you feel like you're making a dent in at least educating the public?
We have a great deal of community involvement. We're at local health fairs, just about every one that we can be at, to have a chance to talk with seniors. And it's amazing how many people come up and say, I didn't know about this. How can I make this work for my family? We have a couple of charitable events that we partake in. We've sponsored them in the past. But we're really trying to get the message out about what type of benefits are out there. And also some of the changes in Medicaid laws and helping people understand that when their parents get older or when they get older themselves, that they have options. There are options out there to protect your estate, to leave your estate to your heirs, and really reap the benefits that that we've all paid into. We've all paid into Medicare and Medicaid, and how do we take advantage of those? And how do we protect assets? And how do we leave a legacy for the next generation?
You talk about protecting assets. If you don't protect, what can happen? What has happened?
Well, one of the attorneys in our firm, I listened to a presentation that he made, and he just said that the state rewards you for estate planning. For failure to plan, they don't reward you.
Interesting. Interesting.
In the past, your home was always an exempt asset. Without the right planning today, your house may not be an exempt asset. If
exempt from
what they call the Medicaid Recovery Act or the State Recovery Act, where the state could actually put a lien on your property, on the house that you have paid off, that you've worked all your life, and you see it as one of your biggest assets.
If you are collecting Medicaid.
If you were to happen to go on Medicaid and spend time in a nursing home, there is a possibility without estate planning that once you pass away, that the state could come back and file a lien on your property to recover the monies, the benefits that you were paid while you were in the nursing home.
I see. Interesting.
And we can help stop that from happening.
So you've helped families. I think it's interesting that way of looking at it is the state rewards you for protecting your assets, and not so the other. When you think about the future, and you know what's happening with all of the budget cuts with Medicare, Medicaid, VA benefits, is the firm afraid that the money is going to run out? There are a lot of people.
No, and that's a very good question.
Getting older.
Yes, it's a good question because there's budget cuts and people are concerned. Where's the money going to come from? 3 years ago, I was fortunate enough. Pat Samasco and I, we got an audience with Chief Legal Counsel for VA in Washington, D.C. Candace Miller helped put that meeting together for us.
Okay.
And that was our first question.
Right.
Tell us about the benefit. We're hearing all these stories and rumors, and the attorney for VA looked right in our eyes and said, "This is a sacred benefit." He said, maybe more sacred than Social Security, who knows? But he said, "This is it's fully funded. It's not going anywhere. There's no discussion of this changing at all," and that was good to hear.
Yeah, that is good to hear, and it should be sacred. The process. Talk now just a bit about the actual logistics. So someone calls you, they are a veteran, they think they qualify. How can the whole process be expedited?
We like to consult with them. We like to get them a kind of a checklist of items that they need. We need to make sure that they served during a wartime period, that they had one day. I can tell you that I've spoken with veterans who have missed the cutoff dates by days, and they do not qualify. They just do not. So we want to make sure that we meet the first couple of qualifiers. For example, a surviving spouse, she must have been, or he must have been married to the veteran up until the time of his or her death, and they can't remarry. They also, as a surviving spouse, you can't divorce. Once you divorce, you're not eligible for a benefit down the road.
Interesting.
Okay. So once we go through those basic qualifiers, We give them a checklist of items that they have to pull together. They have to have their original discharge papers.
The original discharge
Original,
papers. Now,
or a certified copy.
Okay, all right. I was
Yes.
just going to say, let's stop there, because my father's papers happened to have been in a fire in one of the VA offices.
Yes.
And we had to go through a bit of a back and forth to get his.
The National Archives had a fire in 1973, and some records were destroyed in the fire. They do have a way of confirming the veteran's service. Instead of getting a copy of the discharge papers, you'll get a letter certifying his or her service.
And that is
And that's adequate.
accepted.
It'll have a raised seal on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's adequate.
Okay.
So once we have those qualifiers, we sit down and we help the family with the application. The family has to have some effort put forth on the application, and we kind of review it to make sure that all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed. You don't want to leave anything blank. It's not a difficult application, but it can be intimidating. And you see it and it looks like a big packet, and once you do it a few times, you could do it in your sleep. But we help families go through that process. We help them provide the supporting documentation that justifies the benefit, and then we send it off. We hand deliver, as a service to the families, we hand deliver the application to the Detroit Regional Office of VA. We get we take an original and a copy, and we get them both date stamped and signed off by VA. VA has lost applications.
I bet.
Not too often, but
Yeah.
they have lost them. And when they call us and say we've lost it, we have the date stamped copy that shows the date of eligibility. A veteran is eligible the first of the month following his or her application. So if you were to apply in February, if you applied today, you'd be eligible March 1st. The benefit can take 6 to 9 months to be approved. I've seen them happen in 3 or 4 weeks, but I tell families, get ready for the long haul. It's 6 to 9 months. VA may contact you and ask for more information. They may ask for some of the information that we already sent, and we put that together and we send it off to them. We follow up and see it through. Again, if the VA loses that, we have that copy, and we can show that the veteran is eligible from that date.
Okay.
We don't give them the discharge papers. We give them a copy, and they certify the copy, and we bring the originals back.
Okay. So you keep the originals of the application, or
We keep just the original of the discharge
Okay,
papers.
okay.
They're important to the veterans.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The cost. What does this cost a family?
That's the best part.
Yeah.
It is against the law to charge a veteran or spouse to do this application.
Is that right?
So there is no fee whatsoever.
So you're doing it as a service to the community, obviously, as a as a business.
Correct.
There is a benefit, and I assume that it has to do with the estate planning that
Yes.
that you do.
It leads us to a great deal of estate planning and,
Yeah.
and wills and trust and
Yeah.
power of attorney, patient
But
advocate.
not always. There are
Not
people
always.
that simply want the benefit. They come to you, get the service, and you're fine with that.
Both examples that I gave you, there was absolutely no fee, no money exchange at
Okay.
all.
And there's no contract that the vet needs to sign saying they'll do business with you later.
No.
Right. Okay.
No.
All right. Rick, thank you so much. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that that you'd like to add?
No, I just want people to know that this benefit is out there, and it makes a big difference. And don't let someone tell you that you don't qualify for this benefit. Don't
Right.
just assume. Don't think that you don't have any options when it comes to looking at or facing the reality of having mom or dad go to a nursing home and have to live there, or that there may not be any way to help for care at home or in assisted living. At least sit down with somebody and find out what your options are.
Right.
I joke with people and I say, good estate planning allowed Leona Helmsley to leave $2.5 million to her dog. And while it's funny, she was able to do that
Yeah.
because she had estate planning.
Yeah.
By the way, if anybody wants to know, the money after the dog passed away, the money went into the charitable trust, the Helmsley Charitable Trust. That's where
Okay.
the money went.
All right.
But there are options out there, and
Yeah.
we help people understand what their options are.
And most of all, these are benefits that they earned, they deserve, and they should.
It is a
Absolutely.
earned benefit.
Yes,
This
it
is
is.
not an entitlement. And I tell my veterans, when I talk in front of veterans groups or I talk to families, if you qualify for the benefit, get it. And I tell people, for Vietnam veterans who are younger, who are just coming into this age group, they call me and ask about this benefit, and I tell them, think of the benefit as an insurance policy. Your premiums were when you served during a wartime period. And if you live long enough, you will qualify for this benefit and use the benefit for your care.
Very good. Great points all. Believe it or not, we've come to the end. Thank you again for
Thank you for
joining.
having me.
This is the conclusion of this show. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. If you do have other ideas, themes, issues, and concerns that have anything to do with our aging society, please do send them. You can reach me here at the War Memorial, and the phone number is here playing on the screen. Thank you again for joining us. Aging Well in America. See you next time.